Welcome back to News Geelong. Sports Minister Phil Delahunty has announced a funding injection from the Victorian Government's revitalised country football and netball program, and Torquay will get a piece of the pie. Here's Debbie Meany to tell us more.
The Torquay Netball Club is going to set more goals and hopefully shoot more goals after a recent funding boost from the government. They're one of 11 clubs in the area to benefit from over $23,000 worth of funding. I spoke with Megan Mifsud from the club to tell us just what it means for them.
Recently, early this year, had our courts re-asphalted, so the aim of the funding grant is to actually have a synthetic surface laid on top of those courts, and have some spectator shelters, slash player shelters installed on either side, so that we've got somewhere for people to watch the games.
Yeah, that's very important to have that supporter base, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I guess that costs a fair bit of money. They probably need a bit extra apart from what you've been given.
We certainly do. Part of the grant, we had to say that we would be able to contribute and raise funds towards that. So yes, so we will be working, now that we know we have it, we'll be working very hard to try to raise those funds. Absolutely.
And perhaps looking for some sponsorship from other areas as well?
Definitely. We were lucky enough to receive some sponsorship from the RACV here in Torquay, the Torquay Resort at the Golf Club. So that's an initial starting base, and then going from there, any local businesses, and of which we have lots within our club. So hopefully there's a few that might get on board and help us out.
And how did you actually hear about this funding? What did you actually need to do?
It was a joint venture with the Surf Coast Shire. So Peter Bromley from the Surf Coast Shire notified us that these grants became available, and with his assistance and my putting together some stuff, we were able to put the application in and go from there.
Excellent. Oh, it's great that clubs like yours have been recognised as needing a bit of extra boost. How can people jump on and help you out if they wanted to help out with some monies?
Okay, well, we're on the Torquay Tigers website on the internet, and we also have our own club email address, which is torquaytnc@hotmail.com. So, yeah, log on to that or log on to our website, and we've got our contact numbers and that from there.
At the Torquay Tigers home here in Torquay, this is Debbie Meany for News Geelong.
Thank you, Debbie. And the National Wool Museum's latest offering is Wrecks, Reefs and the Mermaid, a stunning photographic exhibition just in time for summer and running until February. Ian Nichols is ready to take the plunge.
Well, we've seen some interesting things at the National Wool Museum over the years, but this takes the cake. I think you're going to enjoy this, a summer of wrecks, reefs and the mermaid. A travelling exhibition on one hand and magnificent photographs taken by Mary Molloy on the other. It's really worth a look, and that's why we're talking with the curator, Philip Manning.
We've got two parts of the show, Wrecks, Reefs and the Mermaid. The title of the show is a touring exhibition from the Australian National Maritime Museum, which looks at two maritime archaeological surveys off the coral reefs in North Queensland. And then the other half is looking at the spectacular underwater environments that we have in Port Phillip Bay.
That has really blown me away, and the fact that you have these incredible photographs taken by Mary Molloy over a great period of time.
Yeah, well, it blew me away as well. Started out exploring the wrecks that we had in Port Phillip Bay and around the Great Ocean Road, and Dave Summers at the Geelong Dive Centre started showing me images from the natural environment in Port Phillip Bay, and I was just gobsmacked. And so I made contact with Mary, and she's documented the environment in Port Phillip Bay for the last 28 years, and the 14 images we have is just a handful of the fantastic array of colours and creatures that actually are in the in Port Phillip Bay.
Well, one of the things that attracted my attention immediately was the submarine, which is now, you're terming it the yellow sub, because it's got this coral sort of crustacean on it. The
entire surface of J5, the J5 submarine in the ship's graveyard, is actually covered by a soft coral called yellow zoanthids, and so divers have become calling it the yellow submarine.
Now, this exhibition will be here for a little while over the school holes and into February of next year.
Yeah, that's correct. It closes in mid-February, and it's part of our Summer of Discovery program at the National Wool Museum. We have this show looking at the underwater environments of Port Phillip Bay, as well as a fantastic exhibition called Amazing Backyard Adventures, looking at the science that you can find in your own backyard.
Well, I dare say there's something for everybody here, not just kids. I've been absolutely fascinated by this collection that you've very well put together.
Yeah, well, hopefully everyone can come along. There is something for everyone, from history buffs through to people interested in the environment, and there's activities for children as well, and just the spectacular images should keep everybody excited.
Well, the mermaid has me fascinated. That's not actually a female at all.
No, it was a ship that left Sydney bound for Port Raffles in the Northern Territory and got wrecked south of Cairns in 1829. And so the Australian National Maritime Museum, along with the Silent World Foundation, ran a maritime archaeological survey to try to locate the wreck in 2009.
Now, you mentioned the Australian National Maritime Museum. I believe this is the first time this exhibition has left home.
Yeah, that's right. They did a small exhibition of the photographs by Xanthi Rivet documenting the survey in 2010, and we're the first institution in the country to take their expanded touring show.
Well, we certainly are very fortunate, and I think it's just timely, of course, with the school holidays coming up and summer, for people to get really involved, and maybe they'll want to take a closer look themselves and get down to Queenscliff and perhaps check it out.
Absolutely, and this environment is accessible to anybody who can snorkel, even just going into the Eastern Beach swimming enclosure, going off Clifton Springs Jetty, Port St Leonard's, and definitely Queenscliff operating. They also have dive operations out there as well.
At the National Wool Museum and their Wrecks, Reefs and the Mermaid exhibition, this is Ian Nichols for News Geelong.
Thank you, Ian. The federal government's National Rental Affordability Scheme funding will provide Deakin University with rental subsidies in excess of $38 million over the next 10 years. News Geelong attended the announcement. The Minister for Sustainability, the Honourable Tony Burke, was at Deakin University at Warn Ponds to announce the $38 million announcement for 311 new beds for students.
That's right, Meryl. Today for the campus here, 311 new affordable student accommodation sites, and then a further 100 at the Warrnambool campus. What it effectively means is you've got the immediate jobs that come from the construction, but for long term you've then got 10 years of affordable rents, good quality accommodation, 20% below the market rent. Because one of the things when you've got a university that grows, if you manage it badly, you put pressure on the rest of the city. But if you manage it well, you provide a real opportunity, and by having the 20% lower rent, it actually puts rent pressure down throughout Geelong rather than pressures always being on the upward side.
Importantly, it'll also enable Deakin University to expand. Deakin has some very extensive plans to increase the number of opportunities for people to come here to Deakin to learn, and that's something I'm very supportive of. And today's announcement of 311 additional places for students for accommodation, I think is fantastic news for the whole region.
Absolutely outstanding. It's 51 million, slightly more, of investment by the Australian government into a regional community such as Geelong, which means that students coming to Geelong, most particularly from regional Victoria, will have affordable accommodation which is modern, contemporary, and will help them study. We couldn't have asked for more.
And what sort of time frame are we looking at these extra accommodations being built?
Well, there are 311 beds on Warm Ponds, 100 at Warrnambool. We've started all the process work now. We expect our first students to be sleeping in their campus beds at the beginning of 2014.
From Deakin University, Warn Ponds, Meryl Friend, News Geelong. This is News Geelong as we go to a break and return with sport and weather after this.